Hello there, this is Dr. Dane Donahue, and you are listening to the Cash Practice Wellness Score System Quick Start Orientation video. And I'd like to welcome you, and if you can see the screen right now, you'll notice that we are at the Cash Practice homepage. And depending on how many of the Cash Practice systems that you currently have, you'll see them listed at the top. And so for purposes of what we're going to do today, there's a couple areas that I'd like you to take note of. One is this area here, which is the Wellness Score System tab. And you'll see when you just move your cursor over this, it'll bring up different categories here, such as the wellness scoring, running an exam set, searching an exam, comparing exam, and downloading some of the forms that we've preloaded on here that correlate to some of the parameters that we've added to the wellness score. You also have your manual with your quick start guide. We'll go over that, but we recommend printing that up and making sure that your staff has a copy of that and that they read through that so they understand how the wellness score system works, especially if you're going to have them printing up wellness scores for you, which we do in our office. You also see that we have training videos, and these training videos have been created for your training, obviously, to make different areas of the wellness score more tangible and understandable, such as your consult and exam. This is a video of me doing a consult and exam, doing some of the core flexibility and strength testing that we do, specific tutorials such as your parameters and adding parameter sets, or creating services and service groups, or scoring and how you score your wellness score. So another important tab here is your wellness score settings tab, and I'll get to that in just a minute, and also your printer settings. It's very important because most internet browsers have their own specifications for printing, so it's important that you set right away, whatever internet browser you're using, that you set the print settings in that browser so that it correlates with printing your wellness scores properly. The other thing I want to bring your attention to is this tab over here, and this is the Map My Account tab. And this tab can be accessed by logging in with the initial user of the wellness score. So the administrator must log in. Anybody who's been created to use the Cash Practice system who's not an administrator will not see this tab. But I'd like to bring your attention to this area here, Preferences. It's very important. I'm going to click on Member and Company Info. And this is where you'll see my office, and we've entered all the data for our office. And the reason this is important is this data, especially the address and phone number, will show up on the wellness score. And you want it to show up because you want people showing others their wellness score and how they can get in touch with your office. Another important feature is this one right here, your logo and picture upload. And we'd like you to upload your logo like we've done here. You can upload your logo, and you can also upload a member photo if you'd like to, or maybe you want to upload a photo of your entire office. And the reason, again, this is important, you'll see in just a little bit, that this logo will print on your wellness score, and particularly for any type of corporate screenings or screenings that you do out in the public. You want your logo and obviously your office address and phone number to show up on those wellness scores so people know how to get in touch with you. So those are two important areas. You can also see that we have in the Cash Practice software, we have training support videos here, particularly if you're using any of the other systems such as the cash plan calculator or the auto debit system, which we use in our office, and the email drip education system. So let's get started with understanding the wellness score system. The first area that I'd like to bring your attention to is, as I mentioned before, is this area here, the wellness score settings tab. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And there's three areas of this that we're going to be focusing on. And the first one is, what do you measure? So there's three areas. What do you measure? And then there's another area of what do you provide in terms of the services that will correlate to your parameter sets or your wellness scores. And then finally, what do you score and recommend? So let's start off with what do you measure. We've created the wellness score to have preloaded in here many different parameters. We're constantly getting requests from chiropractors. The good news is that you can custom create your own parameter, which we'll talk about in just a second. But what I'd like to show you is some of the parameters that we've created. Now, it's important to note that there are 4 categories that each parameter are assigned to. Some parameters are assigned to multiple categories because they cross over into 2 different areas of a person's health. But the 4 categories that we've created in the wellness score are neurospinal health, general health, functional nutritional health, and then also general health category. So we have general health, functional nutritional assessment, functional fitness assessment, and neurospinal. So all 4 categories are right here. And as you can see, some parameters such as core flexibility will be put into 2 different categories, such as functional fitness and neurospinal health. But let's just kind of go down here so you can see some of the categories that we've created. As you could see earlier, we had anterior head carriage or anterior head syndrome. This is a category or parameter that's specific to the posture screen application or posture screen mobile application for iPad. We have a body mass index. C-reactive protein is a measurement of inflammation in the body. Cholesterol to HDL ratio, which is a measurement of lipid ratios. Core flexibility, which is 4 core flexibility tests that we do in our office. Core strength is 4 core strength tests that we do. Diastolic blood pressure, which is general health assigned to a general health category. Another lab test, fasting glucose. Fat mass in terms of percentage of fat in the body. We also have loaded the foot level pronation stability index, so if you use the orthotic scanner, it will give you a number now, and you can use that number on your wellness score. We have a functional movement screen, and if you're familiar with FMS or functional movement screen, you know that's a process of screening and also grading your patients through a functional movement screen. Hemoglobin A1C is a diabetic marker for blood sugar. Homocysteine is a measurement of toxicity and how well the liver is processing toxins. Health satisfaction survey is a custom form we've created basically to find out how the patient feels that they're doing in the 3 categories of their health: how they're eating, how they're moving, and how they're thinking. Insulin, fasting insulin is another test that we do in our office. Intracellular water is a measurement of hydration using a bioimpedance analysis machine. LDL cholesterol, we created a medical toxicity, medication toxicity parameter, which quantifies the number of medications a person is on and gives them a grade. We have a medical symptom questionnaire that takes a person through different symptoms that are related to different organ systems. So symptoms related to digestive health or neuroemotional health or allergies and asthma. And you can download that form in the downloadable form section of the Wellness Score software. We have the Neck Disability Index. We have the NSFI, the Neurospinal Functional Index. We have Oswestry Disability Index. Palpatory SR stands for palpatory subluxation rating, which is simply a measurement of the number of subluxations from occiput to sacrum. So as you're palpating from occiput to sacrum, you're going to make note of how many different areas of subluxation in the spine there are. pH is salivary pH. Phase angle, again, is particular to the bioimpedance analysis machine that measures cellular health. Posture, we have both a visual inspection of posture and a computerized analysis that we use in our office called Posture Pro, which measures posture in AP and lateral views and quantifies or grades this in degrees of overall deviation. So you enter the score, it's the total number of deviations or in terms of degrees in an AP and lateral standing posture. We have a push-up test. We have the RAND SF36 if you're familiar with the general health status survey. We have resting heart rate. We have squats, which is chair squats, number of squats a person can do. We have total cholesterol and triglyceride to HDL ratio, which is a biomarker that measures cardiovascular risk. We have triglycerides. We have vitamin D, which is vitamin D3. We have VO2 max. We have waist circumference, waist to hip measurement, which is a measurement of truncal obesity or belly fat. We have X-ray analysis, which measures the total number of subluxation degeneration in cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine in terms of phases of degeneration. So if a person had phase 1 in the neck, let's say phase 1 in the thoracic spine and phase 3 in the lumbar spine, you would grade that person at a 3, 1, and 1, which would be a 5. So this quantifies the phase of degeneration that they're in the cervical, thoracic, and lumbosacral spines. We have the xenobiotic tolerability test, which again is a downloadable form related to anybody doing any type of detoxification in their office. And then a couple other measurements here, such as HDL, hip measurement, and then these are sample tests that we've entered. So as you can see, there's a thorough list of biomarkers Please feel free to use all of them, none of them, or just several of them. I find the best wellness scores generally range between 10 and 20 different parameters that cross over into the different categories. So I feel that you'll want some neurospinal health parameters, you'll want some general health parameters, particularly if you do exercise in your office like we do, or you recommend exercise, you'll want some functional fitness parameters. And if you do any type of nutrition like we do in our office, weight loss, any specific nutrition for conditions, you'll want to use the functional nutritional assessment category. And particularly if you do blood work, you're going to want to use some of the blood work parameters. So let's get into the parameter sets. And a parameter set is simply a way of taking parameters and lumping them into a wellness score. So in our office, we use different parameter sets. To give you an example, we do 8 weeks to wellness in our office. We have 2 8 weeks to wellness parameter sets, one that we do with homocysteine and one without. Homocysteine tends to be an expensive blood test. Some insurances cover it, some don't. So we do, sometimes we do the 8 weeks to wellness full exam with it. Sometimes we do it without it. We also have our general new patient. We use, again, a technology in our office called bioimpedance analysis that measures total body composition in terms of lean mass and muscle tissue, also measures body composition in terms of body fat, and then will also give us hydration, intracellular water of a patient. So we use that. Sometimes we have symptomatic patients that come in that we won't run a BIA on. So those are the 4 general wellness scores that we run in our office on our patients. We also, when we go out of the office to do any type of corporate events, we have a corporate screening parameter that you see here. And again, sometimes we'll custom create one for a corporation, which I'll show you in just a second. But this is the general one that we run when we're out doing any type of screenings or corporate events. We measure BMI, diastolic pressure, the medical symptom questionnaire, which is given to the person prior to running their wellness score, and they fill that out. And then also we do a waist and hip ratio measurement on the person. So what I want to show you now is there's a way to create a new parameter set for your office. So I'm just going to assume that your office name is Atlas Chiropractic Center. And we're going to custom create a parameter set. So this is going to be the Atlas Chiropractic Center New Patient Wellness Score. And I'm going to save that. And once I save this, I can then start assigning parameters to it. So we've just created the Atlas Chiropractic Center New Patient Wellness Score. And you'll see in here that there it is. So that's what we just created. I want to draw your attention to these buttons here. The first button is a copy button. We've preloaded default wellness scores for you, or parameter sets. So you can copy one of these wellness sets and then add or remove the parameters from it. So for example, I'm going to copy this basic functional wellness. We're going to copy that. And once we copy it, we can rename it. So let's say you like some of the parameter sets that we've custom created you want to use for your office, and there's a couple that you may want to remove or a couple that you may want to add to. What you're going to see here is the basic functional wellness. We just copied that, and then I can take that and then rename it. I can name this Atlas Chiropractic Center New Patient Wellness Score with BIA, if you do BIA. And then, so then I can say, okay, posture, I want to keep that. Core flexibility, I want to keep that. Core strength, blood pressure, I want to keep all those, but I want to assign a parameter to it. I'm going to start to use the BIA, so I'm going to start to, I'm going to add fat mass to it, which is something that the BIA measures. So once I select that, it will then be added to the set that I just copied, and then we'll be able to custom create our new set. So you'll see here, we'll have Atlas. Let's see. Oh, and something to show you, we added fat mass, but what we didn't do is save it. And I'm glad I did that because these are real life things that are going to happen. So we would need to say Atlas Chiropractic Center, New Patient Wellness Score with BIA. And then we need to save that. So that little button's going to save your name. And it's important that you obviously select that button so that it saves it. If you don't select it, it won't save it. So once we save it, that will be saved. And we can go down here and you'll see that we now have that wellness score saved. And there it is right there with the fat mass. And then you can assign more parameters. You can delete a parameter if you'd like. So that's the copy button. This is the archive button. And let's say that I've been using this for a while, but now I've added some technology. So I added a couple parameters, and I don't use this parameter set anymore. I can then select that. It will then be archived. So I'm going to archive that so it does not show up in the menu of wellness score sets that I can run in my office. And you can always go back and unarchive it once it's archived. So you can see here that that's been archived. And right up here is where you can then go and find that again. So if you want to go to your unarchived parameter sets and pull one back, you can do that. Okay? So these are the archived sets that we've archived, and you can see that the Atlas Chiropractic Center will then be archived in here. And I just need to find it, but it'll be in here. There it is right there. So there's the archive sets. Then you'll see this little button, then I can then unarchive that if I want to. So I'm going to unarchive that, and it'll go back into our parameter sets. Okay, the next feature that I want to show you when it comes to these wellness score sets is sorting. Let's go back to the one we just created here. I can select this button here, which is to sort this parameter set. And then what this does is it will put in order, whatever order I want to go over. Like let's say that I want to go over BMI with the patient first, and then I want to go over their resting heart rate next. I just click the little icon, the little arrows, and then drag that and drop it anywhere that I want. And once I do that, I can close that. And again, once I close it, I'll then save it, and that will then save that in order of parameters. The other thing I can do is just delete the parameter set altogether, which I'm going to do right now. So let's say that I made a mistake when I created this. I don't like that parameter set. I don't like the name. I can delete it. Now the thing to note, and it's really important, is that once you start running wellness score sets, and we'll show you that in just a moment, on patients, you cannot delete that set because now you have patient records that you don't want to delete. So you can archive it, but you can't delete it. So it's important that when you're creating your wellness scores that you really think about what you want to do and assign it properly, because once you run a wellness score on that parameter set, you can't delete it. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to delete this so it doesn't show up. Okay? So that's basically your parameter sets and your parameters. Now the other thing I want to show you is that in your parameters, you can custom create your own parameter. So let's say there's a parameter here that we did not list, that you measure in your office. And let's say that it's, we're going to call it light sensitivity. Okay? And this is a new parameter that I want to create and start running on my patients. I can save that, and once I save it, I can then edit the parameter, meaning that I can give it a description. I can put in references of the parameters or the units that correlate to that. So let's just find it here. There it is, light sensitivity. You can see I can delete it again, or I can click on this little pencil button and I can edit that parameter. So I can give it a title. I can put units in. So let's say that the units are in ohms or any type of unit, millimeters per deciliter, anything. I can put that in there. I can put in a qualifier. I can put in a parameter reference. So let's say that I'm referencing the data of what the data range is from a particular article. I can put those references in. And then this is important. This description is going to show up in the report itself for the patient. So it's very important that you describe why you're measuring this, what it is, and put it in layman's terms so that the patient can understand that. And this is a more advanced feature, but this is where that you would modify your data table with reference to that. So this is how it gets scored. Now some scores, such as fat mass, for example, vary with age and also vary with gender. So you're going to want to create this based on an age specific range or a gender specific range. And in the tutorials, there's a way to explain how to create this wellness score set parameter and assign the data table to it. So it's kind of beyond the purpose of this quick start orientation video. But if you're interested in custom creating your own parameters, please go to that tutorial and explain exactly how to go through these things to custom create your parameters and to assign the data table so that it gets scored properly. Okay, so I'm going to just delete that. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to now look at your services. And so again, I always recommend that you work backwards, that you take a look at the services in your office, and they're going to help to determine what parameters you'll want to measure, because you'll obviously want to measure parameters that correlate to those services. So I look at this as a problem and a solution type of a software. The parameters and the parameter sets will identify your patient's problems and deficits. The services and the service groups will then identify the solutions to those problems. So let's go into that right now. What do you provide? And again, just like the parameter sets, you're going to see service group sets. Okay? And in our office, this is the one that we use, the Wellness Solution Center Service Group. In our office, we do chiropractic, we do fitness, we do massage, we do orthotics, and we do some physical therapies such as intersegmental traction. We do a little bit of decompression, and we also do use a laser. So if you want to assign some of these services, you certainly can do that. If you want to copy a service group, just like in your parameter sets, let's say you want to copy that and start using that because you use all these, or you want to then add or delete, you can do that. The other thing you can do is, just like I did with parameter sets, you can add a new service group. So let's say that we're going to call this Atlas Chiropractic. Instead of new patient, we're going to call this the services. Okay, we're going to save that. And just like we added parameters, we've custom added services. So I want to show you right now, you'll see that there's the Atlas Chiropractic Center. Then we can start assigning services. These are all the services that have been added to the wellness score. So obviously you're going to select chiropractic adjustments, and then you're going to assign any other services that you want to assign. And the reason this is important is when you create your wellness score, which I'll show you in just a minute, it's going to create that wellness score and ask you for the services that you want to assign to that wellness score. Okay, and again, you'll see here that we've custom created services. We've added those to the categories that that service addresses. So, for example, we use anodyne infrared in our office, and that's obviously neurospinal. Chiropractic adjustments is a neurospinal category. Fitness trainings. Okay, we don't do colonics in our office, but that was something that I did for another tutorial just to show how to create a service. And then you can create your service down here. So again, this is where you would add a service and then just assign it to a category, just like you would assign the parameter to a category. Okay, so that's your service groups. What do you provide? And then finally, what do you score and recommend? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't believe it's as important as the first two. But again, what you'll see are the different categories that we've created, okay? And you can create a new category. So let's say there's a category beyond functional fitness, functional nutrition, general health, and neurospinal health. So for example, mental emotional health. Let's say that you do NET or some sort of technique that works on a person's mental emotional health. You can custom create that category and then start assigning parameters and services to that. So you can custom create your own category as well if you're not satisfied with the categories that we've created for the wellness score. Okay, so those are the three things. What do you measure? What do you provide? And what do you score and recommend? So what do you measure? Quickly again is where you create your parameter sets or your wellness scores and assign parameters to it. What do you provide is where you create your custom service group and then you assign services to that. Both those can be modified. You can custom create services. And then finally, what do you score and recommend? This is based on any category that you may want to create in addition to the ones that we created. So now let's go to running a wellness score set. And if I go back here, you'll see I want to run an exam set. Okay, so I'm going to select that button, and then it's going to ask me here, what parameter set do I want to run? And let's say this is an 8 weeks to wellness patient, and I've done their homocysteine. I'm going to select that. Now I can start typing in here the person's name. So I'm going to type in my name, and I'm going to come up. So I can select me and run that exam. But let's say that this person is a new person. Okay? I can go and select new. There's 4 things that must be entered for a person to show up. I'm just going to type in a person's name, Bob Smith, their gender, Bob's a male, and then also their birth date. So if I scroll down just a little bit, I'll see the birth date. Let's say Bob was born in September 18th, and he was born in 1952. Okay? And I'm going to then just save that. And you see, I can just scroll down. I'm going to save. Okay? Bob Smith's been successfully saved. I can close out of there. And now I can start typing Bob's name. Bob Smith. Okay? I didn't capitalize. Bob. There he is. Bob Smith. Okay? And now I'm going to run Bob's wellness score. Okay? And you'll see here, these are all the parameters that are assigned to that parameter set. Okay? And I'm going to then select a service group. And my service group is this one here. You can see the other service groups that we've created. And I'm just going to real quickly add the parameters. Okay? And you'll see that then the services come up. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's quickly add some numbers here. Bob has a BMI of, let's say, 32. His weight is 234. His waist to hip is 0.9. His body fat is, let's say, 25%. His health satisfaction score, let's say that's 35. His medical symptom score, we'll say that that's 39. His core strength, let's say he passed 2 of the 4 tests. He passed 1 of the core flexibility tests. His intracellular water, let's say, is 52%. His phase angle, and I'm just putting in very common numbers here that I see in my practice. His high C-reactive protein, let's say, is 2.4. His homocysteine, let's say, is 7. Fasting glucose is 98. Hemoglobin A1C, let's say that's 6.2. His insulin, let's say that that's 10. His cholesterol is 210. His LDLs are 125. Cholesterol to HDL ratio, let's say it's 3.2 to 1. Triglyceride, let's say, is 2.9. And his triglycerides, let's say, are 156. His vitamin D is 34. Let's say he had 5 subluxations. His posture total degrees of deviation, let's say, is 19. And let's say he had 4 phases of degeneration. And then I'm going to save that. Once I save it, I've basically created my wellness score. So again, what you'll see here is once I create, and this is how I do it in my office, once I create their wellness score, I take a look at it, and then I make recommendations for services. So I've just clicked on the little icon that will allow me to bring this wellness score up. And once I take a look at this, I'm going to then assign services. And in our office, 8 Weeks to Wellness is a very specific service group set, in other words. So it's prescriptive exactly what the patient's going to do in 8 weeks. So they're going to do 16 adjustments, and it's going to be a 2-month care plan because it's 8 weeks. They do 16 fitness trainings. They do 8 massages over the 2 months for the 8 weeks. They don't do any physical therapy, and they don't do any orthotics. So I'm going to then save this again, go down here and save it. And once I save this, I would then print that up for the patient. And again, here's where you're going to pull up the actual wellness score itself, and I want to go through this with you. But if you take a look here, again, you'll see my logo, and you'll see my office address and phone number, and also our website. Then you'll see the wellness score. And again, all your parameters are listed here. The data is listed here, and the target ranges are listed here, and their ratings are listed right here. So obviously it's rated from a score of 0 to 100, and also it's rated based on yellow, green, and red, with green obviously being good, yellow being a warning, and red being obviously a crisis area. So what you'll see here is the overall grade. So this person scored a 53. The next page are the categories that we talked about. So the 4 categories: functional fitness, nutritional assessment, general health, and neurospinal health. and you'll see that are parameters that are added to each one of those. So if you wanted with your patients to say, listen, you're doing okay in your nutritional assessment, you scored a D+, which is not really okay, but you're doing better. But all the other areas, your neurospinal health, your general health, your fitness, you're really not doing very well. And then this is a little educational tool that we built in to show people that you trend with your physiology. You're either trending towards better physiology and good health, or you're trending towards poor physiology and death. And we obviously want you trending in the right direction. So if we take your functional fitness, we improve that. If we improve your general health, like your blood pressure and your body fat, if we start adjusting you and we improve your neurospinal health, you're going to see that your overall wellness score is going to go up. And our goal, and when I tell patients in 8 Weeks to Wellness or in our regular new patients, which is a 3-month care plan, is I say my goal is to get you up at least one letter grade, if not 2, in the initial portion of your care. So there's your Try New Health model. You can talk to them about the 3 T's, traumas, thoughts, and toxins. And then here is your care plan recommendations that I entered. So chiropractic adjustments, the fitness training, the massages. The patient can then have sign their care plan. And then this is where it explains the different parameters. So here's all the parameters that we did, what the parameter is, what it means, and what normal is. So that can be printed up. And the reason this report, I believe, is really important is we print this up. We ask them to give this to their family doctor. We've established many good relationships with family doctors, and I find that there's 2 types of family doctors, those that care and those that don't. And those that care will really want to know about their patient's physiology. Those that don't generally just care to put them on more medication for every symptom and ill they have. But there are doctors out there that truly care about this data and would love to know what you were doing with their patients and your patients. Okay, so that's how we do that. The other thing is you can compare exams. Okay, so I'm going to select on compare exams. Let's say I've run 8 Weeks to Wellness. I'm going to find me here. I'm going to select on me. I'm going to then believe that I have 2 of these. I'm going to search my exams, and let's see, I have 1. So let's go back and try that again. I know that I have 1 of these that has multiple exams. So I'll recreate this. Here we go. So let's say that I've done an exam here on June 5th, and I did another one on, let's see here. I did another one the very same day, but let's pretend this was a different day. Okay, so I've selected on the 2 exams that I want to compare. I'm going to then select Compare Reports, and you're going to see it's going to custom create the same report, except it's going to have side-by-side comparison. Okay, so you're going to have your initial exam and then your subsequent exam, and it's going to give you the grades. Now, obviously, I went from a D to an F, so that's not very good. So let's hope that this was the first exam and this was the second exam, but this is just for, obviously, for an example. And there it is right there, and that's how you can show your patients that they're improving. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you is the training videos. We custom created some training videos in here. Like I said, you know, adding parameters. How do you custom create the parameter and the target ranges to score it if it's not listed in the parameter set? Hopefully most of the parameters that you want to use in your office are already listed and we've already created them. If not, please let us know. We can create a parameter probably much easier than you because we do it all the time. So if you get us the data and you also get us the description, we can custom create your parameter and add that for everybody to use to make this thing grow. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this brief tutorial. We've tried to keep it short but informative. This is the general information that you'll need to start running wellness scores right away in your office. Please have your staff watch this if they're going to be running the wellness scores. This is an extremely powerful tool. I think it's one of the most powerful tools that I've used in my practice. As I always say to my patients, and you should say it as well, that physiology doesn't lie, and what gets measured gets managed. So, you know, this is our way of knowing, are we truly helping our patients, not just with their symptoms, because remember, people need a signal that your care is working. And if symptoms are their signal, when their symptom goes away, the patient generally does as well. So when you're using signals such as physiology that have nothing to do with symptoms most of the time, you can show a patient that that's the signal that you're going to use, or that's the barometer that you're going to use to know that your care is working and know that the person is improving their health. So use this powerful tool. We've custom created it for you. to revolutionize your practice, revolutionize your screenings. Please give us feedback. We're always looking to improve our system. Take care.